My life ended in the back seat of a taxi on the way home from Denver International Airport. Next to me sat a suitcase packed with 8 weeks of Canadian life. Project Management Certification Program, successfully completed. A major step forward in my career. I wanted to tell Landon about it, so I opened Instagram for the first time in a while. The words dancing on the screen didn't make sense at first. #unexpected blessings, #fate's perfect timing Landon's post. But it wasn't me in the photo. My cousin Kayla was smiling in his arms. The comment section was filled with beautiful couple. And so happy for you too. The post time was this morning. The exact time I was waiting to board at Vancouver Airport. My fingers trembled as I scrolled. Posts from the past few days appeared one after another. Dinner dates, selfies at the movie theater. In all the places we used to go, where I should have been, she was there instead. "We've arrived, ma'am." The driver's voice brought me back to reality. As I paid the $32.50, fragmented questions swirled in my head. Since when? Why? How could no one have told me? The sound of my apartment key sliding into the lock echoed. My home after 8 weeks away still smelled of coffee beans and lavender air freshener, but something was fundamentally wrong. The moment I set my suitcase down in the living room, my phone rang. Aunt Paula's name danced on the screen. "Brooke, welcome home, dear. You made it back safely." Her voice was honey sweet, but something cold lurked beneath. "Actually, I have something I need to discuss with you. I'm in a bit of a hurry. So do you have time now?" "In a hurry?" My throat went dry. "What kind of discussion?" "It's difficult to talk about over the phone." Paula's voice carried a hint of tension. "Café Luna, remember? I'm waiting there." Café Luna. The place where Landon and I had our first date. Where he spilled his latte and we laughed until we cried. It seemed like she had chosen that place specifically to taint my memories. "Can you be there in 30 minutes? The SNS screen was still open. Kayla's smile stared at me, as if mocking. "All right, 30 minutes. After hanging up, the silence of my apartment pressed against my ears. 8 weeks ago, when I left this place, I was a happy woman with a fiancé and an October wedding to look forward to. Who was I now? The journey to Café Luna was a minefield of memories. That corner where Landon and I first held hands. That traffic light where we first kissed. And now I was walking through those memories to find out why he had betrayed me. Paula sat at a window seat. Her pearl necklace caught the afternoon light, and her smile was so perfect it was unsettling. As if she was enjoying delivering some happy news. "Welcome home, Brooke." A pristine white envelope sat on the table. High-quality paper with silver trim. I recognized the design from wedding venue websites I had bookmarked months ago. "Life sometimes weaves more beautiful love stories than we could ever write ourselves," Paula said, triumph ringing in her voice. My hands shook as I took the envelope. Delicate black script danced across the quality paper. "Kayla and Landon joyfully invite you. The wedding date was 3 months away. October 15th. The exact date we had reserved. While you were away, he and Kayla realized they were meant for each other," Paula said, gracefully lifting her coffee cup. "The certification program was important for your career, but Landon needed someone who could be there for him, someone supportive." My voice trembled as I asked, "How long have you known?" "Known what?" Paula's eyes narrowed. "Actually, I've been worried ever since I heard you were applying for that training program," she said with calculated sympathy in her voice. I could see that Landon was becoming anxious, so I had Kayla support him. It was truly meant to be family support at first. Support. While I was focused on my training, Kayla had been delivering dinner to Landon 3 times a week, inviting him to family gatherings, without telling me. It had all been a plan that started when I applied for the training program. "You were too busy, Brooke." Paula's voice dripped with false sympathy. "Career, career, always career. You lost sight of what's important as a woman." 5 years of memories flashed back. That nervous first coffee date when Landon spilled latte on his khaki pants and we laughed. Moving in together after 2 years. arranging his old sofa next to my IKEA furniture. Last spring's perfect morning with his simple proposal at our favorite breakfast spot. And now I remembered his complex expression when I told him about the training program. That subtle reaction mixing joy and anxiety. Do my parents know? Paula's smile wavered for a moment. Your father and mother were worried about you, concerned that you were so focused on your career that you might lose someone important. Standing up, my hands were shaking. What happened to our wedding fund bank account? Paula hesitated for the first time. I was going to talk to you about it when you got back. Around the time you decided to go for training, Landon started having doubts about his career. So he decided to quit his job and focus on writing. But reality has been harsh. Since I applied for the training program, everything had started with my decision to grow. 80% of that account came from my consulting bonuses. But it was savings you both created for your future, right? Paula's voice sharpened slightly. Since Kayla is supporting him, she naturally has the right to benefit from that. Outside the cafe, walking through Denver's twilight, I accessed my online banking on my phone. 3 clicks revealed the reality I had expected. Account balance: $3,247 of the $18,000 we had saved. $14,753 had been withdrawn. The last withdrawal was 3 days ago, while I was giving my final presentation in Vancouver. From evening into night, I walked alone through Denver streets, visiting places of memory, as if bidding farewell to the past. Memory fragments assembled like puzzle pieces. The family barbecue hosted by Paula before my training in July. The careful distance Landon had shown toward me then. That had been after Paula's plan had already begun. The decline in phone calls, the shortening of messages, those vague Instagram posts about unexpected blessings and fate's perfect timing. While I was climbing the career ladder, my life was being dismantled by someone else. I returned to my apartment after 10 p.m. I began packing, taking down our engagement photos from the walls. One by one, carefully. Not in anger, but like a ritual. A ritual of burying the past. 3 hours into packing, my phone rang. Mom's number. It was past 1 a.m. She only called this late when something serious was wrong. Brooke? Mom's voice carried decades of exhaustion. Your father had a huge fight with Paula tonight. There's something you need to know. I sank into the sofa surrounded by half-packed boxes. What happened? Do you remember how your father and I met? Long silence filled the phone line. Paula found him first, at the county fair. For weeks, she told everyone they were practically dating. My fingers traced the familiar pattern of grandmother's quilt. But they weren't actually dating, not even close. She waved at him once from the Ferris wheel. Mom's laugh held no humor. When he asked me to dance at the autumn festival, Paula didn't speak to me for months. Jigsaw puzzle pieces were combining in reverse, painting an uglier picture. She's still punishing me through you, isn't she? Paula married Frank Thompson 6 weeks after your father and I got engaged. Everyone could tell she was trying to prove something. Mom's voice trembled. When Frank left with 2-year-old Kayla, your father helped with rent. He's been sending money every month since then. I felt dizzy and reached for a pen, needing something solid to hold. Every month? For 25 years? $500. Regular as clockwork. I heard papers rustling in the background. Tonight, he finally stopped. He said he wouldn't fund the destruction of his daughter's happiness. My chest tightened and my breathing became shallow. My quiet, steady father who never raised his voice, who taught me to change tires and balance checkbooks, who still hugged me every time I left the house, even at 28. Paula came to the house an hour ago. Mom's words sharpened. Demanding the wedding money, claiming it now belonged to Kayla since you had abandoned Landon. The pen I was gripping snapped, black ink spreading across my palm like a bruise. I had abandoned him? For 8 weeks of training? For the certification he himself had encouraged me to get. While you were getting certified, Paula had Kayla make dinner for Landon 3 times a week and invited him to family gatherings we didn't know about. Mom's voice hardened. But it was a plan that started when you applied for the training program. Paula intended from the beginning to create a rift in your relationship. Your father suspected something, but he didn't have proof. Tonight, everything became clear. She had been planning this, honey. Ever since your father chose me, she had been planning everything. The weight of generational wounds pressed against my chest. All those sarcastic comments about my career. The comparisons between Kayla's traditional choices and my professional ambitions. Every time she called me, the busy one at family gatherings with that smile that never reached her eyes. Your father told Paula something tonight. Something he'd wanted to say for 30 years. Mom's voice mixed pride and pain. Paula, you didn't lose me because of Margaret's fault. You lost me because you saw me not as someone to love, but as a prize to be won. That's what your father told Paula. Tears streamed down my cheeks. But not for Landon or Kayla or the life I had lost. For the poison that Paula's bitterness had fed into our family tree for decades. For the girl who had been raised as a weapon rather than a person. I have a friend. The words spilled out uncontrollably. Sarah from the consulting firm. She has a spare room in Seattle. She's always said, anytime if something happens. Seattle? Mom's breath caught. So far away. Right now I need far away. Tomorrow I'll contact Sarah and ask if there are any positions available. I looked around my apartment. At walls still covered with evidence of a dead future. Evidence of a future that died while I was chasing my dreams. 80% of that account came from my bonuses. I'm closing the account first thing tomorrow morning. Paula will go insane. Let her. The words held no anger, only certainty. I'm done paying the price for a war that started before I was born. Your father went to see you after talking with Paula. He left the house about an hour ago. I heard a car door slam in the background of Mom's voice. I heard keys jingling at the front door. My heart pounded as I froze. Until my father's familiar large silhouette filled the doorway. His eyes were red, his silver hair disheveled. Seeing me on the sofa with the phone pressed to my ear, he crossed the room in 3 strides and enveloped me in a hug that smelled of Old Spice and safety. She's okay, I'm with her, he said loudly enough for Mom to hear. I pressed my face against his flannel shirt. I'm sorry. No, his chest rumbled against my ear. You have nothing to apologize for. I should have realized what Paula was doing much earlier. I should have stopped that money when she tried to make you and Kayla compete through your mother and me. I might be able to get a job offer in Seattle. I mumbled into his shirt. I could move in 2 weeks. His arms tightened. Then we better start packing. But what about Paula and Kayla and all the wedding guests? Father stepped back, placing both hands gently on my shoulders. The lamplight caught the silver streaks in his beard. Marks of time I had somehow missed. Your mother and I will handle the guests. Kayla and Landon's wedding? We won't attend. After what Paula did, how could we celebrate? I don't want revenge. I was surprised that this was true. I just want to be free from all of it. Then I'll give you that. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a thick envelope. But first, I think you should read this. Bank statements and copies of 30 years of cash checks spread across the coffee table. Monthly payment records to Paula Thompson. Father's careful handwritten notes. Rent payments, car repairs, Kayla's braces, summer camps, college application fees. I kept records of everything. Father's voice was hoarse. I thought I was helping her build a life. I didn't realize I was just funding revenge. The last check dated 3 days ago bore a final notation. Payment stopped for services rendered in the destruction of my daughter's happiness. I reached for his hand, feeling the calluses earned from decades of construction work. The hands that built my childhood treehouse, taught me to ride a bike, held me through every scraped knee and broken heart. Thank you, my voice cracked. For choosing Mom, for choosing me. His fingers tightened around mine. Every day, kiddo, every day. Outside the window, Denver's lights twinkled like fallen stars. Tomorrow I would close the account that was supposed to fund my wedding, pack the life I had built here into boxes, write a resignation letter citing personal circumstances. But tonight I leaned against my father's unwavering warmth, feeling the weight of 3 generations of women's choices. Paula's bitter pride, Kayla's calculated betrayal, Mother's quiet strength, my own power finally released from the cage of family obligation. 2 weeks until Seattle. Until a city where no one knew my name or the weight of history I was choosing to set down. Where every sunrise would bring a chance to write my own story, free from the shadow of a decades-old rivalry I never asked to inherit. I closed my eyes and breathed in Old Spice and certainty. Tomorrow would come soon enough. Tonight belonged to truth and healing and the steady heartbeat of unconditional love. 3 months later, Seattle rain tapped against my apartment windows in a steady rhythm that had become more comforting than melancholy. From my small balcony container garden, Puget Sound stretched gray and endless, with whitecaps dancing under heavy clouds. 3 months ago, this view had frightened me with its unfamiliarity. Now it whispered of possibility. The 6 a.m. alarm chimed. My morning ritual anchored me. Brewing coffee, toast burning slightly. I still hadn't figured out the temperamental settings on my new toaster. A quick check in the mirror showed the dark circles under my eyes fading, replaced by determination. My Vancouver certification was already framed on my office wall at Marshall Consulting. Proof that running away sometimes meant running toward something better. The Wilson account needs fresh eyes, Roger announced at the morning meeting, sliding a thick folder across the conference table. Brooke, you have experience with similar logistics challenges. My spine straightened. Yes, my certification program covered several parallel cases. The words came steady now. Professional, confident. No one here knew about Landon or Kayla or the wedding that should have happened last month. They knew me only as the ambitious new hire who stayed late and delivered results ahead of schedule. Roger nodded, already moving on to the next agenda item. But I caught an approving glance from Sarah in accounting. Small victories. They add up. Thursday evenings found me at Global Flavors cooking class, chopping vegetables beside strangers who had become familiar faces. Tonight we were attempting Thai curry, and the scent of lemongrass and ginger filled the industrial kitchen. Watch the knife angle, Chef Marcus corrected gently, demonstrating proper technique. My hands remembered similar lessons from my grandmother. Decades of Sunday dinners where she taught me to create order from chaos, one precise cut at a time. Later that night, the cursor blinked on my laptop screen. Dr. Sharon's weekly therapy homework waited. Explore the generational patterns in your family's approach to relationships. Words spilled onto the page about Paula's desperate grip on status, about Kayla's learned helplessness, about my own former need to fix everyone's problems while ignoring the warning signs in my own life. A text from Mom broke my concentration. Kayla and Landon's wedding photos all over Facebook. Want me to call? No need, I replied. Working on the Wilson proposal. It wasn't entirely a lie. The folder sat open beside me. Numbers and logistics. A welcome escape from memory. My phone stayed dark. Mom understood now. She had learned when to push and when to let me process alone. The weekly Sunday calls had evolved from tear-filled confessions to actual conversations. Last week, we spent an hour discussing her garden renovation without once mentioning the elephant in the room. The Wilson proposal came together over 3 sleepless nights. Graphs and projections flowed from my fingertips, insights sharp and clear. When I presented to the client team, Roger's eyebrows lifted at the innovative solutions I had mapped out. Impressive work, he said afterward. The promotion track usually takes a year, but we might need to accelerate that timeline. A genuine smile spread across my face. The first in months that didn't feel forced. Later, in the bathroom mirror, I caught myself humming while washing my hands. The sound startled me into silence, but the moment marked something significant. 10 whole hours without thinking about the betrayal. Lucy from 4B became my weekend walking companion. Our feet carried us through Discovery Park's winding trails. She was 65, recently widowed, full of stories about Seattle in the 70s. When she talked about rebuilding after loss, her wisdom came from experience rather than pity. "Harold's been gone 3 years," she told me one foggy morning. "Some days I still reach for him in bed. But you learn to build a life in the empty spaces." In my grief support group, faces around the circle nodded as I finally shared the full story. No one offered advice or empty platitudes. They just listened, and somehow that was exactly what I needed. "You're handling this with remarkable grace," Marcus said afterward. His wife had left him for his business partner last year. He understood. The promotion letter arrived 6 months early. Team lead with a corner office overlooking the Sound. I sent a photo to my parents, and Dad booked flights for the following weekend. Mom brought homemade cookies and decades of family photos from before the betrayal. We created new memories in my small kitchen, laughing over Dad's attempts to master chopsticks at the local sushi place. Through the family grapevine, news trickled in. Landon still couldn't find writing work. Kayla's part-time dental receptionist job barely covered rent. They had moved in with Paula. 3 adults crammed into her small ranch house, taking turns with a single bathroom. "They deserve each other," Cousin Rachel texted, always ready with family gossip. I left her message unread. Their struggles brought me neither joy nor pain anymore. They were just facts, like Seattle rain or morning traffic. At night, I watered my growing collection of plants. Kitchen herbs, bedroom succulents, a temperamental peace lily by my desk. Green things that thrived or died based on the care they received. No complex emotions, no hidden agendas, just honest growth, one leaf at a time. My therapy journal filled with insights about patterns broken and boundaries built. Dr. Sharon noted my progress, the way I had stopped apologizing for my career ambitions. "Success is the best revenge," she said, then caught herself. "Though I suspect you no longer want revenge at all." She was right. The woman who had driven away from Denver with a broken heart and a U-Haul full of shattered plans no longer existed. In her place stood someone stronger, someone who understood that walking away from toxicity wasn't cowardice. It was courage. The rain against my windows had become a lullaby. On clear nights, the Sound reflected stars and city lights, reminding me that beauty existed even in darkness. I had stopped checking social media, stopped asking about news from home. My story was writing itself in Seattle's gray skies and green parks, in quiet triumphs and peaceful mornings. Some nights, memories of Landon still ambushed me. His laugh over breakfast, the way he used to wrap me in bear hugs after long days. But those moments came less frequently now, ghosts fading in the light of my rebuilt life. 5 years of love turned to betrayal had taught me more about myself than a lifetime of easy happiness ever could. I pinned my team's first successful project timeline to my office wall right beside that certification from Vancouver. Proof that sometimes the path forward requires walking away. The corner office plants thrived in filtered sunlight, green and growing, reaching toward tomorrow. 4 months after moving to Seattle, the email flashed on my Seattle apartment's breakfast bar screen like a slap, making my coffee mug tremble. Landon's name in my inbox after 7 months of silence. Subject: Our wedding fund, Brooke. I know this is awkward, but we need to discuss our joint savings. Things are tight right now, and that money was meant for both of us. I never meant for any of this to happen the way it did. Circumstances just took over. Writing isn't paying what I expected, and Kayla's dental office cut her hours. We're facing eviction next month. I hate asking, but I need my share of our wedding fund to keep a roof over our heads. It was our money, after all. Please help, Landon, as autumn rain drummed against the windows. I read his message 3 times. Each word cut deeper than the last. Our money. While my consulting bonuses had built that account, he had quit his engineering job without saying a word. Circumstances, as if some mysterious force had pushed him into my cousin's arms. It took 3 days before I touched the keyboard. The words flowed with surgical precision. That money was for our future. You forfeited that the day you deceived me and married my cousin. Do not contact me again. My finger hovered over the send button. No anger, no accusations, just truth. Clean as a broken bone. Click. Block. Done. 2 weeks after Landon's email, Mom's voice crackled through my phone. Paula showed up at the house with Kayla and Landon. After the fight with your father. She's still demanding the wedding money. She doesn't seem willing to give up. Dad's handling it. I'll call you back. Seattle's skyline faded from steel gray to purple twilight as hours crawled by. Until my phone buzzed again. You need to hear this, Mom said. Paula started screaming about what rightfully belongs to the young couple. Kayla burst into tears about bill collectors, but Landon just stood there staring at his shoes while they fought his battle. A bitter laugh escaped me. They had expected my savings to support them. That's not even half of it. Mom's voice hardened. Your father finally snapped. He told Paula he was done using his family's kindness to destroy my daughter. The truth of those words rang in my ears. How many times had our family's kindness been exploited for another of Paula's crises? How many checks had been written to keep peace in the family? Paula collapsed on our couch. Mom continued. Started sobbing about how life never gave her a fair chance. How watching your father and me marry broke something in her that never healed. How seeing you succeed while Kayla struggled felt like history repeating itself. My throat tightened. She had punished me for her happiness. I told her she never lost anything. She never fought fair. Mom's voice carried decades of quiet understanding. She manipulated every situation, turned every family gathering into a competition. And when that wasn't enough, she used Kayla to take what she thought I had stolen. That night, the family group text exploded. Aunt Susan sided with Paula. Uncle Robert backed Dad. Cousin Jennifer called Kayla a homewrecker. Grandma Ruth threatened to cancel Thanksgiving. A new message popped up from an unknown number. Kayla, did Mom really plan this? Did she intentionally push me toward Landon? He's not even writing anymore. Just plays video games while I work. Maybe she wanted me to have what you had. But all I got were his broken promises. I closed the message without responding. Let karma finish what it had started. Seattle rain kept falling, washing away another layer of anger I didn't know I still carried. Tomorrow I would wake up, brew my coffee, and lead my team meeting. I would smile at the barista and joke with colleagues and feel a little lighter. The money in my account was no longer tainted. It wasn't a wedding fund or a symbol of betrayal. It was freedom. It was karma doing her slow, steady work while I built a life they couldn't touch. Maybe Dad was right. Sometimes kindness becomes destruction when fear of confrontation guides our choices. Sometimes the hardest answer is the simplest one. No more. 2 years later, complete peace string lights twinkled across our back deck, casting warm shadows over faces I had grown to cherish. Seattle's autumn breeze carried the scent of James' famous apple cider and Linda's pumpkin bread through the open French doors. 2 years of building this life piece by careful piece, and tonight it felt complete. Mom set down her wine glass, wrapping both arms around my shoulders. This quiet suits you, sweetheart. Her eyes drifted to my team leadership award hanging beside a candid photo of James and me hiking Mount Rainier. No wedding portraits or false promises, just real moments, hard-earned and true. The doorbell chimed. Sarah from accounting arrived with her husband, carrying a potted orchid and exclaiming over the view of the sound. These people knew nothing of Landon or Kayla or family betrayals. They knew me as I was now, the woman who led critical projects, volunteered at the literacy center, and made a mean chocolate souffle. During dessert, Dad's phone buzzed. His expression shifted as he read the message, and I knew before he spoke. News from home travels fast. Kayla and Landon's divorce was finalized yesterday, he said quietly. She's moving to Boston next month. Got a teaching job at a private school. I passed him the coffee pot, my hands steady. I hope she finds what she's looking for." The words held no bitterness. How could they when losing everything had led me here? When that betrayal had pushed me toward a life so much richer than the one I had planned? After the last guest left, James found me on the balcony wrapped in the soft throw blanket he had bought for my birthday. His arms slid around my waist, and I leaned back against his chest, watching lights flicker across the water. "Penny for your thoughts." His voice rumbled against my shoulder. "Kayla emailed me. She's starting fresh in Boston." I turned to face him. "How do you feel about that?" I considered the question, tasting it like wine. "Peaceful. Her choices aren't my burden anymore." He nodded, understanding without pushing. This man who had entered my life when I had stopped looking for love, who built furniture in our garage and read history books before bed, who proposed with a simple sapphire ring because he knew diamonds carried too many memories. "Speaking of choices," he said, "I've been thinking about our wedding guest list." My lips quirked. "Let me guess, you're wondering if we should invite Kayla." The thought crossed my mind. You seemed lighter after reading her email. Forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion. I traced the anchor tattoo on his forearm. "I wish her well, but that chapter is closed." 2 weeks later, the phone rang. Dad again. My heart clenched at his tone. "Paula's in the hospital. Aggressive breast cancer. Your mother thought you should know." The old me would have booked a flight immediately, rushing to a bedside where I wasn't wanted. But I had learned about boundaries, about the difference between compassion and martyrdom. "I'll send flowers," I told him. The nice kind from that shop she always bragged about. That same evening after dinner, after hanging up the phone, James and I stood at the railing watching the moon paint silver paths across the water. Tomorrow I would place the flower order. Tomorrow I would start planning our small wedding surrounded by people who had earned their place in our story. Tomorrow I would call Mom and share more of the wisdom we had both gained about breaking cycles of hurt. But tonight I savored this moment. The warmth of James beside me, the life we were building, the quiet certainty that losing everything had shown me exactly what I needed to keep. A whisper of wood smoke drifted on the breeze from somewhere down the hill. I closed my eyes, breathing in the scent of autumn and possibility. Some lessons cost everything and are worth every penny.